Hey folks out there in YouTube land, Trouble T-Cat here, recording for the Zombie Arcade as per usual. This is actually being live streamed as well, but I'm going to be ignoring the chat for the moment while I record this because I have a plan for this video. I want to do a bit of an overview of the features of Rocksmith 2014. You may remember a while back I did a video of the first Rocksmith, and I liked that a lot. And Rocksmith 2014 is even better. In fact, it addressed some of the concerns, problems I had with the first game. And so I'm gonna talk about Rocksmith 2014 and why it's pretty cool. So, I think the way I'm going to start this off is I'm just going to go into a song here, and I'm gonna pause at various points when I have something to say about what you're seeing, because what I mainly want to focus on are the changes between this game and the first game that have improved it a lot and made it, I think, a much better learning tool. There's some things I'm not really going to be able to mention in the context of a song, but I can cover most of them. It seems like a good place to start. If I could actually... One thing you'll immediately notice is that sorting the song list can now be done in a bunch of different ways as I cycle through them like crazy, trying to find the one I want. Anyway, we're going to go into Fear of the Dark here by Iron Maiden, and we'll pause at a few points and talk about some of the cool new features. If we can get in here. Which brings us to the first thing I wanted to point out, which is, you might have noticed there that the notes weren't consistent. In fact, they started off there, they faded out. I clearly haven't memorized that part of the song, which is fine. But what I wanted to point out about that is that this game now has a feature where as you sort of play through different parts of a song and start to, I guess, master the song, the notes fade out, which encourages you to actually learn the songs, memorize them. And one of my complaints about the first game, you might recall, was that I felt like, while it was kind of good because you're sight reading and you kind of got it on your fingers, it was a bad way to help you learn songs. You never really, it was like hard to make the transition from being able to play it with the tablature to actually memorizing it compared to learning traditionally. And that's a feature where the notes kind of slowly fade away. And if I play those sections badly consistently, like I just did, the notes will come back, of course. And I think that's just a really helpful thing that wasn't in the first game that makes this more useful as an actual tool to get you away from the game and eventually plugging into an amp. I'm pointing at my amp, but you can't actually see it on the video. There's an amp over there, which you would eventually be able to plug into. Okay, let me turn my mic back up.
Dark road at night or strolling through the park. When the light begins to change, I sometimes feel a little strange, a little anxious when it's dark. Fear of the dark, fear of the dark. I have a constant fear that something's always near. Fear of the dark, fear of the dark. I have a phobia that someone's always there.
Okay, so the next feature I wanted to point out that was new and was nice is, let's say hypothetically that I thought that was pretty crappy, that last solo correctly. They added in this new feature where at any point when you're in a song, you can immediately go into the Riff Repeater, which they've made a lot better. And this has a feature, for example, you can set this up so that when you are sort of done getting better at the section, it'll automatically continue. But they just made this a lot easier to use, and the fact that it's now incorporated into song in a way where you can just immediately sort of go into this, slow down a hard section, play it a few times, try it again at full speed, is really phenomenally useful. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to slow this down to, like, let's do 70% speed. I'm going to put on accelerate with a low error tolerance, yeah. And I can just immediately now practice that solo that I just failed so horrendously in. Totally turn on my volume so here. So that's obviously going to need some more practice, but I just wanted to point out that that's a really nice feature that I can just kind of stop and go. Let's finish this off, and then there's a few more features that I want to talk about, but let's get to the end of this song, please. Okay, so that's now done. There are a bunch of other features I wanted to point out too. I think those were actually the... I'm just going to get out of here so it's a bit quieter. I think those were actually the sort of biggest things for me were the way Master Mode works now is really good, and the ability to go into Riff Repeater during a song is really useful as well. But there's a bunch of other stuff too. You might remember if you watched my review of the initial first Rocksmith, one of the things I said about it was that, well, I thought it was a good tool to help learn some songs and stuff. I felt like there were a lot of things the game couldn't really teach you and didn't even make any attempt to teach you, and I thought that was a bit bad. Like some important techniques, stuff like vibrato, dynamics, that kind of stuff. Most of those things are now, the game's tablature for the songs can actually display them, which it couldn't before, so that's really good. And B, they've greatly expanded their lesson system here to include attaching your strap. That's an important lesson, kids. You gotta know how to attach your strap. But they've improved this a lot to include a lot of other kinds of techniques and stuff that weren't covered in the first Rocksmith. You got pinch harmonics included, tapping. There's a whole bunch of things now that just were not included in the first game that it's really good to see are now actually here. A few things. They removed the career mode from the first game, which I was a little bit sad about because I really like the career mode. And you don't have like your points getting ever higher and the sort of little gig things. That's kind of a shame, but what they've got instead is this feature called Non-Stop Play, where you can basically set up a list of songs that you are willing to play, and then you set a time and you go and it just plays through the songs one after the other. So that's kind of the replacement for career mode. It's okay. I must admit I kind of liked the charm of the original career mode a little bit more for some reason. But, you know, it works. And finally, but by no means least, Guitarcade has been expanded a lot, by the way, which is nice. There's some other minor features, too, like the latency's a lot lower than the first game, which is good. In fact, it's pretty much not noticeable at all now when I'm not recording, the actual latency between when I play and when the thing comes out, so that's good. The tone's a lot better. Pretty much every aspect's improved. But the last thing I wanted to cover, other than those other main points, was session mode, which is really fucking cool. So, the way this works is you can set up a band. There's a bunch of preset bands. In fact, I'm just gonna load one of the preset bands, but you can choose from a lot of different instruments and stuff. I'm gonna choose friggin' dominant metal here. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna choose... Let's choose something a bit more relaxed. Let's choose vintage blues. And then you have a bunch of other settings. You can play a bunch of different scales and a bunch of different root notes, and the band will play behind you in that scale. You can change the complexity from being really, really simple to, if you set it to progressive or to changes, the band will actually change keys, which can be kind of cool if you're a more advanced player. And this is a really good thing for two reasons. One, it's a cool way to just practice, you know, your scales and that kind of stuff. Two, it's a lot of fun. Like, that's probably... This is just a really good feature. I've had a load of fun just playing around with this, jamming out. I'll show you guys what it's like. So, you press your button to start the session. I'm not learning the scale-shaped Dorian right now. I already know it anyway. But and you got sort of your fretboard here, which shows you the notes of that scale that you've picked. I'm going to zoom way the fuck out, but if you zoom in, you can change positions, that kind of stuff. But I'm just going to zoom out. I know the notes of A minor anyway. And you'll notice that there's not a whole lot happening right now. But if I were to start, you know, playing, the band comes in. And the idea here is that I'm going to turn my sound off so that I can't hear anything, which is probably not a good idea because I'm not going to be able to be in time. No, I think I'm just going to explain and then continue. The idea here is that the band kind of adapts to your playing. So if you play sort of loud and fast and hard, the band plays with more energy. If you play softly or not at all, the band stops, and it's just real cool. It's just real cool. I'm going to mute my mic for a second and play around for a bit to demonstrate. I think you get the idea. I think I'm gonna have to stop myself there because, like, seriously, I could mess around with this thing all day. It's just so much fun. It's such a great feature, and I think it just kind of. One of my other complaints about the first game was that it didn't really help you learn how to do any kind of improvisation or like learn scales really or anything like that. And this kind of addresses those complaints. So I guess to conclude, what I wanted to get me out of here. I guess to conclude, what I wanted to say about Rocksmith 2014 is that it's real good. It pretty much addresses every complaint I had about the first game in terms of feeling like it wasn't a very good teaching tool for new people, although it had its uses for more experienced players learning songs. It's still really great as a tool to learn songs if you've been playing for a while. And now I feel like it addresses a lot of the issues I had with the first game in terms of like being a complete learning tool. So all in all, at the end of the day, Rocksmith 2014 is pretty fucking dope. If you want to learn guitar, or if you already play guitar and want to learn a bunch of new songs in a pretty fast way, it's really quick to learn songs from actually, which is nice. Check it out. It's not terribly expensive. The cable is not terribly expensive. You will need to supply your own guitar, which is a little bit more expensive, but I believe you can actually get a pack that comes with an Epiphone Les Paul Jr., which is not a great guitar, but if you're starting out, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So check it out if you're interested in playing guitar. It's a lot of fun. I think it's really good. Thanks for watching, as always, and until next time, Trouble T Cat out.